What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight. Hope everyone has had a great Wednesday. I hope you guys are ready for another live 2023 fantasy football mock draft because it is the month of August. It is mock draft season here on the channel. We are mock drafting every single day. We basically have been mock drafting every single day throughout the offseason. But, man, I'm just so excited for the 2023 fantasy football season to be here already and so excited to continue our tradition of mock drafting every single day through August. So, you guys know what to do. Hit that like button on the way in. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new to the channel because you need me in your algorithm. I promise it. You need me. So subscribe, please. Outside of that, hop in the live chat, guys. Let me know what's popping. Let me know how you guys are doing. Any fantasy football topics you guys want to hit tonight? Any NFL topics you guys want to go over tonight? Let me know. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk some fantasy football. So, yeah, last night we started the show, the stream off, talking about the Cooper Kupp injury. We had just got a report on it, and we had no information. But here's our update today. Cooper Kupp likely to miss a few weeks after tweaking his hamstring at practice. He did get an MRI, and this sucks. Let's be real. This is one of the last injury updates that we wanted to get for the offseason, with Cooper Kupp coming off an injury last year. So, we don't have a real timeline here. All we have is that he's maybe out a few weeks. There's kind of different wording out there, right? Some reports are saying he's going to miss a few weeks. Some reports are saying he may miss a few weeks. So however you look at it, I'm not particularly in love with this situation. Cooper Kupp still goes at the 1.4 tonight. And I was interested to see where you guys would draft him tonight, if he would fall back a bit or not. And I'm not really surprised that he didn't, just because of the caliber of player that he is. Expected to miss a few weeks could literally mean he sits out the rest of preseason, then he's out there week one and he's doing Cooper Kupp things. So, I don't know what our level of concern exactly should be here, but let me know in the live chat what you guys feel, what your guys' level of concern is personally in regards to the Cooper Kupp situation, and then we can kind of go from there. But like I said, some of the wording is different when you look at some of the different reports. And, a hamstring, it's not the worst injury in the world, I guess, all things considered. But it's definitely not good. A hamstring injury is definitely something that can linger for some time. So, let's hope that this is, on a smaller scale of things. And if it's not, I don't know, not the best update for the fantasy community to receive. But it's the off season. These things are going to happen. And we're just going to have to, take it in stride when they do happen. So far, things could be worse, I guess. But they could be better. It looks like Taylor says Sleeper's not loading for him. I want to change the Patrick Mahomes pick. I feel like that's just a little too early. So if we want to keep things realistic, I don't know. Garrett Wilson's, I don't really know who else will go there. I guess we'll leave it. You know what? I'll just give him Waddle. I feel like Waddle's the next best available player. Okay, I got to pick a player as well. And I like Waddle right there, so I feel like it's a fair trade-off. But yeah, let's go Chris Olave. It looks like Taylor's back in with us. So You got Kelsey and Waddle. Could be a worse start. Hopefully you didn't want Mahomes. But I feel like at the 2.4, we're not seeing Mahomes go enough that it makes sense to change that pick. Okay, outside of that, we got Alvin Kamara expected to be suspended by the NFL for his incident in Las Vegas. So, I mean, like, I don't know if that's really news, but we have an official report coming from Ian Rappaport. And, Alvin Kamara is set to meet with Commissioner Goodell, and that meeting is probably going to determine his suspension. So we might get an update on what's going to happen there, and that would be helpful from a fantasy perspective. So outside of that, we had the Calvin Ridley situation. Had a toe injury, limited at practice, and then it was revealed that it was tied to the cleats he was wearing, and he wore different cleats, and apparently the injury is like non-existent. So it looks like with the Calvin Ridley situation, we got a nothing burger, and we're going to be able to just move along, which is definitely good considering how much stock fantasy managers have put into Calvin Ridley this offseason, right? Isaiah Pacheco expected to be cleared for contact by the 20th of August. The hand injury is supposed to be good to go. It's the shoulder that's still yet to be cleared. But so obviously he's got a little bit of time before he's cleared for contact. But Pacheco expected to be cleared by August 20th. So outside of that, you got a quote from Josh Allen. James Cook is going to take a large portion of the carries, and in the pass game, he's going to be kind of a dual threat guy for us. So I don't know. You can react to that, or not react to it. I don't know. It looks like a good quote from a fantasy perspective, but I don't know. Don't put too much stock into what Josh Allen's saying in the offseason, I guess. Depends on how you look at it. The Patriots have been managing Ramondre Stevenson's workload early in camp. And when asked about it, Stevenson said, "You've got to ask Bill why I'm not practicing." So I don't know what that means, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. All right, I believe that's everything. We never got an update on Alexander Madison limping off the field, but I don't think there's anything major there. Who do I want to draft? Give me Cooper. Okay. Let me hop in the live chat, see what you guys are up to. Guys, let's get some fantasy Q&A going. Whatever fantasy questions, just come up with a fantasy question. Doesn't have to be for like even like your particular team that you're looking to draft. Could be, one player versus another. Whatever you guys come up with. Let's get the chat going tonight. I want to talk some fantasy football. So let's do it. Hit the like, get a fantasy question in the chat, and keep it going. Okie doke. Taylor, what's up, bro? Chase, hello. Chase, and for anyone else who missed this particular mock, there will be an off-air mock that I will record for a video directly after the stream. So stay posted. I will drop that link in the YouTube chat at the end of the stream before I post it anywhere else. So if you guys want to mock tonight, there is still a chance. Godfather, how are you doing, man? Always good to see you. Cat says the 1.3 officially the worst spot to draft from. He said, never mind. Yeah, the 1.3 is not incredibly enticing. Walito, what's up, man? How are you doing? Mr. Sarcastic, what's up, man? Jacob, what's going on? I am glad football is back as well. Good to have you in the house tonight. Need one keeper in PPR. Etienne in the 15th, Devonta Smith in the 9th, Fields in the 14th, Jacobs in the 6th. All options could be kept for 2 years except Etienne. Last year he can be kept. Woo! That's a tough one. Kind of have to look at it this way. Would you like to go into your draft with, essentially a free running back, a free wide receiver, or free quarterback. I actually kind of like the idea of potentially keeping Justin Fields in the 14th. And you just don't have to worry about quarterback at all. And if you want to get like a second late round quarterback, if like you're worried about Justin Fields rushing and like, I don't know, potential injury, you can grab a late round guy and it's not really going to hurt your draft at all at the same time. So I think strategically that makes a lot of sense. But I also really like Devonta Smith in the 9th, and I personally value the wide receiver position. It is a full PPR league. And, value-wise, you're getting a second rounder in the 9th round. If and when Josh Jacobs signs, then, that might slightly change things because Josh Jacobs could shoot up another round back to where he was going before all the contract stuff started happening. So I don't know. There's some potential there. But for me, it's probably between Devonta Smith and Justin Fields. It's not that ETN in the 15th is like still a really good value. But for me, running back is going to be one of the easier positions throughout the year, to replace. And in your draft, you should be able to find, good enough value throughout at the running back position. But yeah, like Devonta Smith in the 9th, when I'm looking at keepers, that's traditionally what I do is like who, where I'm getting them as my keeper compared to where they're going currently, who is the best overall value, Devonta Smith, a second rounder, you're getting him in the 9th. That's generally what I gravitate towards. But like I said, going into your draft, not having to worry about quarterback, getting, a top 5, top 6 quarterback, at least rankings wise, off of the board, not even have to think about it. You get him in the 14th round. That's pretty valuable as well. And like I said, like if you still want to draft a late round quarterback, if you're worried about Fields in any way, I'm not necessarily worried about it, but if you are, like, then you can still do that, and like it really doesn't hurt your draft at all. So for me, it's Fields or Smith, and full PPR, I might lean Smith. Chat, let us know what you guys think there. Who would you guys keep? Etienne in the 15th, Smith in the 9th, Fields in the 14th, Jacobs in the 6th. Everyone except Etienne can last as a keeper for up to 2 years. Thomas, what's up, man? Happy birthday to you. Everyone say happy birthday to Tommy. Decided to work today because I start my 2-week vacation on Saturday. Might go to dinner after work. Dude, 2-week vacation sounds amazing. I hope you have fun. And happy birthday, man. Thanks for tuning in on your birthday. Yeah, sometimes, like, work on your birthday, whatever, and then you do something really nice for the next couple days or whatever, so I like it. Hey, by the way, I forgot to tell you guys for tonight's format, we are doing double flex if you guys didn't already check. No, I thought I was going to get Christian Kirk. I thought it was going to happen. Now I'm very sad. I mean, I could really go any direction here and like not be too upset. I'll just take Swift. Shane, second round, Adams or Olave? This is a very good question. When you break down some of Adams' advanced analytics, I mean, they're like obviously ridiculous. And when you break down some of his statistics without Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr over the past couple years, they're still very ridiculous. So, like, I don't really think Davante Adams is in that bad of a spot. Like, if you're down on Davante Adams, it's probably because you're worried about Jimmy Garoppolo throwing him the football and Jimmy Garoppolo's overall health. But, like last year, Davante Adams, and like some of these are kind of, maybe you're skeptical about some of these because a quarterback change is going to affect some of these. But In terms of the wide receiver position, he was number 2 in targets, number 1 in target share, number 5 in target rate, number 4 in routes run, number 1 in total air yards by wide receivers. But keep in mind that Derek Carr was number 1 in total air yards in terms of quarterbacks. Red zone targets, he was number 5. Deep targets, number 2. Receptions, number 7. He was number 1 in wide receivers and total touchdowns. I want to say that, I don't know who was the next closest. I feel like A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown had 11. I mean, Devontae Adams had 14 touchdowns last year. Diggs had 11. I think those might be the 2 closest guys, but yards per route run, number 8 in the league. Trying to see if there's any other fantasy points per route run. He was number 8. Total fantasy points by wide receivers, number 3. In terms of routes, total route wins, number 5. Routes versus man, number 3. I mean, Devontae Adams is going to find a way to get it done. And I don't have them in front of me, but if you pull up some of his statistics, average statistics, without Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr at quarterback, they're still ridiculous. So, it's kind of difficult for me to just completely not include him in the picture. And I know I haven't been incredibly high on him throughout the offseason because I do think his ceiling could be limited. The numbers, like I said, have been good without Carr and Rodgers. It's 0.5 touchdowns per game, 78 receiving yards per game, and 7 receptions off the top of my head, something like that per game without Rodgers or Carr. Those numbers are still good. They might not be, I still think the ceiling is somewhat limited there, but they're still really good numbers. But I think, when it's been in that range for me, I'm looking at guys, depending on the mock, sometimes A.J. Brown is around. Not as often, but sometimes he's there. CeeDee Lamb's there. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle. I just feel like those guys have the ability to have higher ceilings going into the year. So it's tough. There's a lot of good options at wide receiver right there that potentially bring a little bit more upside to the table. So it's been an interesting spot for me to kind of draft from when we're looking at wide receivers in that range, So, I haven't been super high on Adams, and I probably am still taking him before Chris Olave, getting back to the question, Olave versus Adams in the second round. But I think Olave's right on that cusp of the rest of those wide receivers. When you look at Garrett Wilson versus Chris Olave in their rookie season, Garrett Wilson, 1,100 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns, 13.2 yards per catch, 147 targets, 83 receptions, okay? That was through 17 games. Chris Olave, through 15 games, just under 1,100 receiving yards, same amount of receiving touchdowns, 14.4 yards per catch, or more yards per catch, 119 targets, 72 receptions. So he was wide receiver 25 last year. Garrett Wilson was wide receiver 21, mainly because of those additional receptions and additional receiving yards. But more yards per catch by Chris Olave, very, very close in terms of the receiving yards, receptions, and obviously the same number of touchdowns. So, Wilson gains Aaron Rodgers. Olave gains Derek Carr. When you break down Carr versus Rodgers last year, I'll do it in just a second here. But, once again, it's not like it's incredibly different. So I actually think Chris Olave in that range is being relatively slept on. So let's just see here. Aaron Rodgers, 3,600 pass. Let's say 3,700 passing yards. He was 5 away. 26 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, 12 interceptions. Okay, so 37, 26, 12. See if I can remember that. Carr, 35, 24, 14. So, like, you know, Rodgers slightly better, but not, like, out of hand. Like, I mean, not, like, extremely better. And Carr, very, very good at throwing deep balls last season. I don't think Olave is going to be, like, the deep ball guy here and there, potentially. But I think Rashid Shaheed probably is, you know. And then Michael Thomas, when he is alive and on the field, him and Olave are going to be more, you know, the contested catch type guys. So Olave has some of that factor to him. He showed a bit of that last year, but yeah, in that range, it's tough because I really, really have grown on Chris Olave and really grown on the argument that he should be closer in comparison to Garrett Wilson than a lot of people are really giving him credit for when we look at their rookie seasons. And then we look at the changes to their teams going into this season. So, you know, Adams versus Olave, it's very close. But I think that tier of wide receivers, the beginning of the second round wide receivers, we could really just say second round wide receivers. St. Brown, Adams, Waddle, Wilson, Olave, Devonta Smith, Higgins. And right now, Calvin Ridley's kind of on the cusp, so to speak. But I am never going to get Zay Flowers in a mock draft. I've given up on Zay Flowers. Sorry. Give me Gibson here. Yeah, that whole tier of wide receivers, I think you could really argue in a lot of different directions. I'm going to put Amon-Ra as like the guy, the top tier guy in that tier. I've had him there all off season, but everyone else, I think there's an argument to draft any of those players over the other, except I think Higgins is, you know, I think Amon-Ra at the top, Higgins towards the back, but overall that tier is, it's a little challenging, man. But, you know, I think I still have to give this slight edge to Adams over Olave. Very close, though. All right, let's see here. Catch, are you worried about Kyle Pitts at all? Still not fully participating from MCL last year. You know, when it comes to Kyle Pitts, and I think he was running routes yesterday is a report I have here, but he is still being listed as questionable with the same knee injury, you know, MCL injury. So let's see here. Arthur Smith noting Monday that the tight end is on track with his return to play plan. So, I mean, if Arthur Smith is comfortable, I guess I'm not worried. You know, Pitt's going in the 7th. I think that's fair. Goes in between Kittle, Waller, and Ingram and Goddard. Like, I'm probably still waiting a round or so and going to Ingram, Goddard, Freiermuth, who are, you know, the next 3 wide receivers off the board before I'm drafting Pitts. You know, I like Pitts more this year than last year because, you know, last year was a 3rd-round pick. I just felt like it was too high of a premium to pay. But overall, I just have never really been in on Kyle Pitts, you know, outside of his rookie year. And I don't know. I think he's going to have a good year, and I think they're not going to rush him back is the important thing. But we'll see how it kind of plays out here. I would say level of concern slightly there, but I'm not going to panic just yet. Let's give it a couple more weeks into August. Mr. Sarcastic, who's a better PPR season, Amari Cooper or Drake London? Another really good question here. So, you know, I'm probably going to say Amari Cooper, and I really like Drake London. You guys have heard me talk a lot about him throughout the offseason. But I still think realistically, when we look at these two offenses, you know, the Browns, everything is pointing towards them throwing the football a ton this year, right? And, you know, I do think that the Falcons will probably throw the football more, but I don't know if it's going to be at that level of what the Browns are going to do. And I think the Browns have far more weapons, which helps Amari Cooper, because the defensive pressure isn't going to be on him all the time. They have a good run game with Nick Chubb, probably Jerome Ford as an RB2. Watson is just going to be in a position where, coming off of last year, all the distractions, they might slightly still be there, but he's going to be in a position where he should be playing better football than what we saw last year. More time with the coaches, more time with the rest of his teammates, full off season. Distraction isn't completely looming over him. And I do think he's going to play better. But on top of that, I just think when you look at these two offenses, an Arthur Smith-led offense is going to run the football. And don't get me wrong, I think Drake London is going to have a good year. And I still like him. And I think when you break down his rookie season, he did a lot of really good things. I probably still like Olave and Wilson over him. But at the end of the day, I think I still have to go Cooper here. I was pretty low on Amari Cooper last year. I just did not believe that with Deshaun Watson missing that portion of the season, he was going to be able to put together a productive enough year, and he absolutely proved me wrong. That was one of my worst takes last offseason. And, going into his 9th year, he is a veteran wide receiver and everything. But like I said, with all of the skill position players around him, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Njoku, they went out and drafted Cedric Tillman. They still got the run game. So, I guess one of the arguments for Drake London potentially is that, the run game with Bijan Robinson is going to take, kind of keep the defense on their heels, right? And I think you still get some of that when you look at this Browns team as well, because Nick Chubb's involved. So for me, I think I still have to go with Cooper there, But there could be an argument, that Drake London potentially brings a little bit more upside in terms of, more likely to have a breakout season, as opposed to Cooper could be a lot more consistent, but at times maybe not as high of a ceiling. But your wide receiver 10 in fantasy last year, let's not forget that. And all signs are pointing towards the Browns throwing the football more and there being less defensive pressure for Amari Cooper. So when you look at last year, he gave you single digits, 7 times every other game, 10 or more points. And he had some really good weeks, 25 points in week 2, 23 in week 3, 20 in week 5, 23 in week 8, 31 in week 11, 25 in week 17. So, there's always some volatility to the wide receiver position. But all in all, Cooper had a very good year. So I'm going to go Cooper. Emil, you buying into the George Pickens hype this offseason? I'm going to say no. I like Pickens where he's going. I don't mind if he's part of your draft plan. In the 8th round, we got Pickens, Elijah Moore, Zay Flowers, Burks, Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham tonight. I prefer Zay Flowers. And then I prefer Elijah Moore. Quite frankly, I probably like George Pickens, if we're just looking at tonight's example as the 3rd wide receiver there. But, I was really high on George Pickens as a rookie. I thought he was a good late round pick because traditionally the Steelers have done a very good job at developing wide receivers. And, I could see Pickens having a good year this year. Don't get me wrong. But for me personally, I do think that there are better options, even within that range. So I'm going to take Dak Prescott tonight. Yeah, the big thing with Pickens is he's a great contestant ball guy. So if Pickett is giving him enough looks in the red zone, I do think he could have a really improved year. And he still had a good rookie year. 52 receptions off of 84 receptions, 15.4 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns, 800 receiving yards. That's still a good rookie season in the NFL, especially when, you had Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback and then, Kenny Pickett in his rookie season. So the development of Kenny Pickett's the biggest thing to George Pickens, I think. But like I said, he's a very good contestant ball player, but he's not the best route runner. He doesn't have the best release. And he can make up for it at times because he can make some crazy catches. But overall, I don't know if he's a complete wide receiver. Now, he doesn't necessarily have to be, because Deontay Johnson is a very good wide receiver, across from him. And Deontay Johnson's a very good route runner and has a good release. Might not be the best contested ball guy, like almost opposite type wide receivers. And then, Pat Freiermuth is still a threat there as well. Obviously, when you look at the rest of that wide receiver core, kind of looking for another player to step up. Maybe it's Allen Robinson now that he's part of that team. Maybe it's like Calvin Austin. I don't know. But regardless, I think there's enough pieces there that not all the pressure is on Pickens, So, don't get me wrong. I think Pickens could have some good flashes this year. But in terms of quote-unquote buying into the hype, I'm probably not quite there. Man, all the wide receivers I've been targeting I was targeting Dobbs in the 11th and Shaheed in the 12th. I feel like I'm going to reach here. Give me Van Jefferson in light of the Cooper Kupp news. Let's see here. Albert, hello. Andrea, hello. Shane, what about Adams versus Amon-Ra in this draft? Amon-Ra went first. Yeah, that's, for me, I'm still going Amon-Ra right there. But that's been me all offseason long. Like, there are mock drafts earlier in the offseason where I would take Amon-Ra at the 1.8, the 1.9. So I'm still there with Amon-Ra. He's definitely in that tier, the first wide receiver I'm going to take. Let's see. 7th round, who are you taking, Cooks or Pickens? I haven't been incredibly high on Brandon Cooks throughout the offseason. And I feel like we talked about this past week. But, he is the wide receiver 2 on this roster unless, there's the potential for Gallup to step up into that spot. But, man, Gallup has been a hard player to bet on the last 2 years. 14 games last year, 9 games a year before. And, Dak Prescott trusts Michael Gallup, but I think it's just hard as fantasy managers to trust him because he's not always available on the field. So I do like Cooks, 699 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns through 13 games last year, 1,000 receiving yards, 6 receiving touchdowns through 16 games a year before. I just don't know if I see a massive ceiling for him. It's kind of hard for me to trust Cooks. And I think at least with Pickens, going into his second year, you have the potential for a breakout season. So I am actually probably going Pickens there. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But I haven't been there on Cooks. I just haven't. Nothing within me is making me say I want to draft Brandon Cooks this offseason. So I don't know. It's a tough one. All right, final pick of the night for me. Then I'm going kicker defense. Alec Pierce is a good pick there. I still like Isaiah Hodgins in this range. Chase Brown, Jerome Ford, Chuba Hubbard. There's some handcuff running backs. Kenny Gainwell. Greg Dulcich would be a really good pick here, in my opinion, if you wanted a second tight end. But I'm going to take a second quarterback, and I'm going to take Geno off the board, since Prescott can be hard to trust in terms of injuries. So, all right, let's see here. J-Dubs, what's up, bro? Mason, can you please explain the Olave love? I take Ridley, Cooper, and Higgins over him. Am I missing something? I guess my question to you would be, would you take Garrett Wilson, in that same range? Because once again, Garrett Wilson's rookie stats compared to Chris Olave's are essentially exactly the same. And Aaron Rodgers versus Derek Carr last year, almost essentially exactly the same. So I think Olave is just in a great position. I mean, I like Ridley, Cooper, and I even like Higgins still, but Ridley's kind of teeter-tottering. Like, we were starting to see him go at the end of the second. If you took him that early, I don't think that's crazy necessarily. But Cooper, you can definitely still get in the third round, and Higgins going at the end of the second. So I think just based on current ADP, I wouldn't reach for any of those guys over Olave. Higgins has been pretty consistently going at the end of the second. But, yeah, for me, when you break down what Olave did as a rookie, we kind of just broke all this down at the beginning of the stream. I hate to make you, like, rewind or anything, or maybe you heard it. But, for me, Olave is good of a rookie wide receiver that we had last year. And I just think he's going to improve in his sophomore year. Plus, Derek Carr is perfectly capable of feeding a wide receiver one. We saw that last year. We've seen it with, Amari Cooper, with Michael Crabtree, even with, like Darren Waller at times. So I think Olave is going to be just fine this year. Made for TV, what's up? Tommy says, I'd rather wait late round for Elijah Moore over Cooper. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel like there's another wide receiver on the respective team that you'd rather draft later, I'm not necessarily against that. What's up, Senior Cinnabon? Walito says, I'm all in for Marvin Mims this season. Interesting. I mean, it's probably a smart idea to identify a late round rookie wide receiver that you can take on a regular basis. Jonathan Mingo is going in the 12th round. Marvin Mims is going in the 12th round. Rashee Rice going in the 10th. And Jaden Reed went in the 12th as well tonight. Poor Jonathan Mingo. No profile pick. Most of the rookies are getting theirs. But, yeah, I think identifying a rookie wide receiver that's still going late, especially if their ADP does not really move throughout the offseason, is something smart to do, and taking a chance on one of those guys and holding on to them is smart as well. All right, so we're caught up here. Taylor says, Kincaid playing slot wide receiver going to be a cheat code for fantasy. I've been back and forth on Kincaid throughout the offseason. I love him in your build behind a player like Travis Kelce, for example. But I do think I'm starting to grow on the idea of drafting Kincaid. It's just historically rookie tight ends, only do so much. I'm going to draft Greg Dulcich. I'm going to forfeit a kicker tonight. But I do think he could be in a very unique situation, of course, with his skill set. And obviously, like, the Bills deferred drafting a wide receiver early when a lot of people thought that they would. And they went out and they got Kincaid. And I think they're going to utilize him as part of this offense. So it'll be interesting to see. But, yeah, I mean, they're already saying they're going to line him up as a slot wide receiver. So even if he's traditionally a tight end, definitely be getting looks as a wide receiver as well. All right, guys. Team review time. Let me know if you want a team review. Box and the Jack at the 1.11. So, double flex tonight. Let's keep that in mind. And let's do it. Herbert. Herbert's good. Andrews is good. My quarterback and tight end feedback is getting pretty lackluster these days. I mean, perfectly fine value where you drafted both those guys. Chubb, Rashad White, Charbs, Roshan Johnson, Ford. I mean, like, in a redraft format, I'm more comfortable with this in a one flex league, but still okay in a two flex league where You get your 2 running backs and you just draft like some handcuff committee type guys. That sometimes that can really work out. Like if Chubb and White are healthy, like you're fine. And then, if something happens to Walker, you have Charbs. Something happens to Herbert, then you have part of Chicago's committee. Something happens to Chubb, then you just plug in Jerome Ford, So in redraft formats, handcuff running backs, committee running backs have more value than anywhere else. So I personally like drafting like 4 guys that I think are going to play right away, but this is fine as well. All right, wide receivers. We got Diggs, Debo, Quinn Johnson, Elijah Moore, Bateman, and Reed. I mean, good value on all these wide receivers throughout the draft. Danny Carlson, love that. Seahawks defense, love that. So starting Herbert and Andrews, Chubb and White, Diggs and Debo, probably, Elijah Moore, and then you're probably hoping to flex Bateman in that second flex. But as time goes on, Quentin Johnston's going to be the guy. I just think sometimes beginning of the year, it can be a little queasy to start rookie wide receivers, But he's going to take over that second flex. And then Jaden Reed could get in there too. So, and at times, Charbs and Johnson could be involved too. So, yeah, pretty solid team. Nothing crazy, but I'm good with it. Let's see here. Taylor, the 1-9. Hurts is good. Kelsey and Kincaid, I love that. Pierce, Dobbins, Penny, Miller, kind of a late mid-round running back build here. I'm fine with that. Waddle, McLaurin, Lockett, Flowers, Shaheed, and KJ Osborne. I mean, good value on your wide receivers tonight. I didn't know what wide receiver to give you at the 2.4 when it hit you with the auto pick. I feel like with, it was fair to let Walito make his pick and then me forfeit, anyone I potentially wanted. So I felt like Waddle was the best option. And, it's not that crazy. Drafting the wide receiver 8 over Garrett Wilson, Olave, or Devonta Smith, even though Smith was your wide receiver 9. But anyway. Let's see here. We're starting Hurts and Kelsey, Pierce and Dobbins, Waddle and McLaurin, flexing Lockett and Flowers. I really like that starting lineup as long as Dobbins is around. Penny and Miller are good handcuffs. Kincaid, a really nice tight end too behind Kelsey. Shaheed and Osborne are good where you got him. Eagles defense and Myers are good picks as well. By the way, Taylor, I did get your message on Sleeper today, so thank you for that. Mr. Sarcastic. Gosh, I never take off my glasses on stream. They're like pressing down on my nose. It's bothering me. All right. Watson at QB and Njoku at tight end. A little stack action here. Barkley, Akers, Cook, A-Chain. I mean, I really like the way this running back room turned out. By the way, I did not enjoy you drafting next to me tonight. You were sniping me like left and right, man. Wide receivers look phenomenal. Even in a double flex format, you could argue 7's a little heavy, but I'm not particularly against it at all. Devonta Smith, Metcalf, Judy, Kirk, Dobbs, DPJ, Pierce. I love that wide receiver room. I really like this team. I think you got a great value quarterback, a great value tight end. You could go with the second tight end here if you wanted to over one of those late round wide receivers, just so you're not completely, overexposed into the Browns. But yeah, I think you got good value running backs. I'm fine with Money Mac here at kicker. I love the Patriots defense. Always slept on every year. This is a great team. Yeah, I like that team a lot. Hopefully next time you don't get randomized next to me. Walito, Tua, Time, and Rodgers. Perfectly fine late round quarterback build. Hawkinson's pretty good value there in the 5th. Yeah, I like that a lot more than T-Hawk at the end of the 3rd or in the 4th. ETN, Mixon, Kamara, Javonte, Jamal Williams. Redraft. Perfectly fine. Hill and Garrett Wilson's probably not going to realistically happen, but it could. It could. I mean, you got it. You got a steal with Hill at 1-8. I actually missed him when I picked Eckler, but I didn't mind starting, going hero running back. And yeah, I mean, Hill at 1-8 and Wilson at 2-5 probably won't happen, but nonetheless, it happened tonight. Mike Williams, Myers, and Tony. Yeah, I'd probably try to get one more wide receiver here, just with the injury history to Mike Williams and Tony, and even to a degree Hill and Wilson with what Wilson had pop up just the other day. So Ravens, McManus is fine. So yeah, maybe you forfeit one of the running backs or even a second quarterback, but I understand picking a second quarterback behind Tua at the same time. So we're starting Tua, T-Hawk, Etienne and Mixon, Hill, you get a little stack there, Wilson, flexing Mike Williams, flexing Jacoby Myers, could flex Kamara and Javonte at times as well, and Tony if he's alive. So, yeah, it's a good team, man. I like it. But like I said, Hill, Wilson, I don't know if you're going to get them like that again. But, hey, take advantage of it, man. Chance. What's up? I don't know what I was about to say. What's up, dude? T-Law and Ingram, I like that. Jaguars can be good this year, man. Hall, I feel like Hall at 312 is pretty good value. He's just some people are getting spooked out of him, out a few more weeks. Najee's fine at 4-1. I mean, I think both those running backs are pretty good value right there. Foreman, you want one more running back in this build. I mean, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wide receivers. You got to eliminate one of those guys and get one more running back. Nonetheless, at wide receiver, Lamb, St. Brown, Godwin, Pickens, that's a pretty solid start. I like Lazard, Mechie, Mingo, Jones. You just kind of, even if you get A-Chain in the 10th over Mechie or Harris, Mitchell, Herbert, Algier, Miller, any of those guys over Mechie, I would say would make this draft a little bit stronger. But the team is good. It's just, 3 running backs might make you a little queasy. Niners defense, Nick Folk, great options there. So you're starting T-Law and Ingram, Hall and Harris, Lamb and St. Brown, flexing Godwin, flexing Pickens, or flexing Lazard in the second flex. Looks pretty good, man. I mean, you have plenty of options to flex because you have a lot of wide receivers. But I still like Foreman in the 11th, but one more running back here would go a long ways for sure. Other than that, team looks good, man. You got some good values tonight. Cats. Get out of here, Cinnabon. All right, Perk Cousins. Burrow. I like him. Waller. That's fine. I'm telling you, I have no concrete feedback on quarterbacks or tight ends anymore. Gibbs and Stevenson, I love that combo. Harris, McKinnon, Zeke, perfectly fine late round running backs to put behind those two kind of bell cow guys. If you want to call Gibbs a bell cow, but you get what I'm saying. Chase, Ayuk. I love Ayuk at the 410. Reach for him all day. That's right. Dotson was a great value in the 6. I almost went Dotson over Pittman. I just want to switch it up tonight. Thomas, fine. Davis, that's your guy. MVS is interesting. I'm not necessarily against drafting him, but he doesn't really excite me either. He was starting to have some pretty good weeks. And then, I don't know. The Chiefs wide receivers are just so hard to trust. I'm not out on MVS necessarily. Interesting late round pick, though. I might like Pierce, Osborne, and Zay Jones more. But, hey, he's tied to the Chiefs. It's always good. All right, we're starting Burrow and Waller, Gibbs and Stevenson, Chase and Ayuk. Flexing Dotson, and you're probably going to flex Gabe Davis, right? Pretty good core roster here. You'd have Michael Thomas, Harris, McKinnon, Zeke, and MVS on the bench. Lions defense, Dicker the kicker. Pretty solid team. Yeah. I mean, Michael Thomas not my favorite in the 8th. But there wasn't necessarily phenomenal options there. I mean, I'd reach for Sky Moore, honestly. Or you can go Gabe Davis, then go Sky Moore at the 9-3. But Other than that, I like this team. All right. Reverse is at the 1.1 tonight. Cousins in the 11th. Fryermuth in the 8th. That's fine. Aaron Jones, James Conner, Alexander Madison, Dalvin Cook, and Jeff Wilson. For a mid-round RB build, that's not bad at all. J.J. Higgins, Ridley Hopkins, really nice start at wide receiver. Rashee Rice, Michael Gallup, those are like two good additions to a pretty studly wide receiver room. Tucker in the Dolphins defense. I know you guys maybe don't care as much about the defenses, but like with the Patriots and the Seahawks going as two of the last three defenses, those two teams should be taking over the Falcons, Dolphins, Lions, probably even the Jets, probably even the Bills. Cowboys, Ravens, Eagles, Niners, there's an argument for all those teams over them, but the Patriots and Seahawks should be going higher. Seahawks were your defense 8 last year. The Pats were your defense 1. Seahawks only improved this offseason. Dolphins I liked as a sleeper, but they still were not good last year. Now Ramsey's out. So anyways, there's some quick defense analysis. But you're starting Cousins and Fryermuth, Jones and Connor, JJ and Higgins, flexing Ridley and Hopkins. I like this team a lot. Madison, Cook, Rice, Wilson, Gallup on the bench. Yeah, as long as Cousins stays in that top 6 range, although quarterback was bad last year. Geno averaged 18.5 points per game, I think, and he was QB5. So, but even in that range, Cousins still beneficial. So, all right, there's your team reviews for the night. So let's roast my team here. And I am going to run a second mock for a video after the stream. So, if you guys want to join, I'll be doing that. And it is going to be a one flex format. I'm trying to get an upload from every draft position. So at a point, I'm going to stop doing random orders from every draft position with 1 flex and then every draft position with 2 flexes. So we got all month to do it. We'll get it done. All right, let's take a look at my squad, then we'll wrap up for the night. But anyways, if you guys want to join the second mock draft, depending on what time I end the stream, I'll let you guys know when it's starting. But there you guys go. There's the link. And I'll send out a notification on Discord when it starts. All right, we went late round quarterback tonight. We got Prescott and Geno. We did not draft a kicker. We'll pick one up before week 1. We got Komet and Greg Dulcich, so we look pretty okay at quarterback and tight end. Eckler, Swift, Pacheco, Gibson, in redraft, I'm fine with 4 running backs. I like this running back room personally. Olave, Cooper, DJ Moore, Pittman, Sky Moore, and Van Jefferson. Romeo Dobbs, missed him in the 11th. Rashid Shaheed, missed him in the 12th. We ended up going double quarterback. We got Van Jefferson. But overall, I like this team. Cowboys defense. And like I said, we drop someone or do something to where we could pick up a kicker before week 1. So, yeah. I like this team. We'd be starting Prescott, Komet, Eckler, Swift, Olave, Cooper, flexing DJ Moore, flexing Pittman, Pacheco, Gibson, Sky Moore, Van Jefferson, Geno, and Dulcich would be on the bench. So, pretty good team. Team of the night, I'm going to go with Mr. Sarcastic. I like this squad a lot. J-Dubs, can I get a 3 wide receiver, 1 flex mock, 15 rounds? Yeah. We can run it tomorrow. How does that sound? 3 wide receiver, 1 flex, 15 rounds. Yeah. You're on the schedule. We'll either run it for, tomorrow's stream, or we'll do a video off air tomorrow. If that's good with you. Month of August, guys, if you have mock draft requests, let me know. Let me know on Discord. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the live stream. Let me know on Instagram, whatever. I will get it put on the schedule. It's mock draft season, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so second mock is in the chat right there. We'll get it filled, then we'll hop into that one off air, and the video will release tomorrow. Other than that, guys, hit the like on the way out. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you for being here. Subscribe because it'll make my day better. Follow us on Instagram. Join our free Discord. Links in the description down below. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you guys for drafting with me. And that'll wrap it up. Thoughts on starting the draft: Tyreek, then Pollard, then Olave/Ridley. Depends on how many teams you're drafting with. If you're drafting in a 12-team league, quite frankly, that's not going to happen. Tyreek will go in the first. Olave and Pollard will go in the second, and Ridley could even go at the end of the second. If he doesn't, he's going beginning of the third. So, I mean, look at tonight. You know, you got Tyreek Hill at the 1-8. He can go as early as the 1-4. Pollard went at the 2-9. Olave went at the 2-6. Ridley went at the 3-1. So if you can start Hill, Olave, or Pollard, then Ridley, that could be realistic in a 12-team mock. It's on ESPN. Yeah, different ADP on ESPN. But I think the thing to be careful about throughout the offseason is, you know, while ESPN might reflect a particular ADP, by the time you're actually drafting, that ADP could start to go out the window as more and more people are researching, making their own, you know, fantasy convictions and everything. So I wouldn't always necessarily rely on ADP. But if that is how ESPN's ADP is looking, then that's a great start. Whether you're going triple wide receiver to start with Hill, Olave, and Ridley, or if you're going kind of bouncing between positions there, going wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, that is also a good start. You know, Hill, Pollard, Ridley, Hill, Olave, Ridley. Can't really go wrong with either start there, man. Both very, very good starts. But I like I said, on the majority of the mocks I've been running, that'd be very hard to do. Tommy, the second mock is probably going to start as soon as I get it filled. So I don't know exactly what time that's going to be, but looks like it's filling a little bit slower tonight. So I'll get it out on Discord and we'll see what happens. But I'm not exactly sure. Just depends on when it gets filled, man. All right, guys, that'll do it for tonight. If you guys need anything, hit me up on Discord, hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up in the comments section. Guys, I'm trying to get out a mock draft every single day through an upload and try to stream at least 5 times a week. So check out some of the videos. Might be helpful for you guys. And drop a comment if you guys need any particular mock draft. I'll get it done for you guys as well. So love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And I think we have our first preseason game tomorrow. So let's freaking go. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch. And